So first of all, let me wish you a very good evening. As much as we would have liked to meet you in person due to this prevailing pandemic situation in the country, we are glad that you're safe and sound at home with your family. And we would like to thank you all for joining us via this digital platform for this session called How to Grab Opportunities in Data Science, the webinar organized by the Department of Data Science in collaboration with Virtusa. Moving on to the first item of the day, to welcome you and officially commence today's proceedings, first I would like to warmly welcome the pioneers or the true potentials who have joined this session to share their knowledge regarding data science with us. Mr. Sampath Trimabitana, Associate Director, the Head of Campus Reach or Talent Development at Virtusa. Mr. Priyal Valpita, Chief Technology Officer at Sorosine and the former software architect at Virtusa. Mr. Chaminda Vijay Singh, Senior Lecturer or Head of the Department of Data Science at Faculty of Computing of NSBM Green University. So with great pleasure, I take this opportunity to cordially invite Mr. Chaminda Vijay Singh, Senior Lecturer or the Head of the Department of Data Science, to commence the session.
Thank you very much, Netmi. And so we are talking about the trends and opportunities in data science, how to grab these opportunities, because in the world, we can see that there's a huge trend in data science. And Sri Lanka is also preparing for a great future with data science. So aligning with these future directions, so as a higher education institute in Sri Lanka, so we have a great responsibility of delivering the required talent to the country, human resource requirement to the country. So with that particular aim, so we have started data science degree program at NSBM, but not because of that. So as an institute, higher education institute, so as I mentioned you before, so we have a great responsibility of producing the right graduates to the country and with required skills. So I will cordially invite Priyal Valpita. So I think you have a great presentation, and with that we can commence the session. Priyal, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Chaminda. So let me share my screen first of all. I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Okay, great. So first of all, let's go through a little bit about what is data science, AI and ML, because that in this small presentation, that what I would like to present you is just insight or just ABCs in data science, and what are the opportunities that you can grab, and where is at right now. I don't want to do another introduction to me. Okay, so let's first of all see why this particular thing, or the data science or artificial intelligence or machine learning. You might have heard these these terminologies here and there, in everywhere almost. Even it invade the political campaign as well, if you are a bit familiar with the last few elections. So what is this? I mean, why it is important? So before we talk about this importance, let me give you some kind of brief some kind of background. Actually, I have taken this thing from a book called The Fourth Age, written by Byron Rees. So according to him, and according to that book, we have, as humans, we have lived through main three ages. The first stage is around 100,000 years ago. That is where we have harnessed the fire, and we have enabled many things because of that. And the second age is around 10,000 years ago, where we have developed the agriculture, and which led to current civilization, cities, and warfare and everything. And the third age was that invented 5,000 years ago with wheel and writing. So because of this, all the knowledge that's been segmented or stagnated in one particular culture, went ahead or been transformed into other cultures as well. And with the writing, one particular generation being able to write down their knowledge and pass it into the next generation. So that's why that these three ages are very, very important. So, and in his book that he's speaking about the fourth age as well. So this is the most important thing. So as you may have guessed, the fourth age is the innovation of data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. So why it is important? Because with this, with the innovations and the technology that we are talking about, with this fourth age, enable to mimic the human brain, right? So, that is, I think you can, think about the advancements that we can have. If we can mimic a human brain 3 or 4 times, assume that, if we can copy tens of hundreds of Albert Einsteins, so then what would happen? So that is the importance of this artificial intelligence and data science. For the first time in history, human as a race managed to copy our brain power into a machine. So that is why it is important. And let's not stop in there. So there's, in this, according to this saying, it says that AI is the new electricity. You know what electricity does to us in the, in the later stage of the, this mechanical evaluation or the evolution, right? So this particular saying is said by Andrew Ng. So Andrew Ng is, kind of like one of the foremost scientists and professor in a university, and he's one of the leading figure in current day machine learning, AI, and data science field. So he said that you can read what he's saying there. Just as electricity transformed almost everything 100 years ago, today actually I've heard the time thinking an industry that I don't think AI will transform in next several years. So he thinks that the AI comes, AI, machine learning, and data science comes into every industry in near future. And there are other facts as well. AI will create around 13 trillion USD value by 2030. So this is done estimated given by a McKinsey Global Institute. So they have done research. So 13 trillion USD value by 2030. And if you go to top 20 IT skills, you can browse, you can Google it and see. It's there. I have taken this thing from a website called CompTIA. So you can see that first one is the machine learning skills. Second one is artificial intelligence. Third one is cloud computing. Fourth one is data science. You can see out of top 5, 3 subject areas are related to data science. There's a direct relationship with data science. So that is the importance of data science in today's day and age. Okay, so now you might heard that this I told you data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence. So what is the main difference in between these things, right? So if you talk about data science, it's if you talk about machine learning, first of all, machine learning is just some kind of an application that where we can use in our day-to-day life. You can see, you can lot of examples. One example that I can take is the Tesla's auto-driven car, right? So that is a good example of machine learning. And there are a lot of other examples as well. Like if you are using Facebook, if you are using Netflix, if you are using Google, whatnot, everywhere they are using machine learning these days. So then what is data science? So data science, as depicted in this slide, is science of extracting knowledge and insight from data. So it is we are doing, we are doing all these machine learning things using data. So data science is all about extracting knowledge out of that data. So as an example, we are using machine learning in Tesla to drive the car, and we can use data science in Tesla just to predict this thing. Tesla should build 2.5 million autonomous cars to fulfill demand in 2025. So that is kind of a decision that we have derived using data that is available. So I hope that now you got it clear about both these practices. And what is artificial general AI? So now we are going into the general AI. So I think you have seen a lot of movies and things about how the AI is using and all. So the to answer that question, the answer is no. We haven't achieved something called artificial general AI yet, because artificial general AI means there should be some kind of a system that can do multiple tasks, many things. I mean, if you are talking about some kind of a system that is doing, I mean, if you take the same example that I have given you earlier, the Tesla's auto driving car. So that is falls under something called narrow AI. So the narrow AI means that one particular system is been designed to do one particular task. So if you take the same example, the Tesla auto driving system cannot sing a song. It cannot compare a song. Or it cannot do, it cannot cook, right? So it is specifically designed to drive a car safely from point A to point B. But if you are talking about general AI, there should be a system that that can do many things. So fortunately or unfortunately, we do not achieve that thing yet. So inside that there are things like machine learning and deep learning. So I will come into those things in a while. And we have the data science fit in. So data science is some kind of subset of all these four things that I have told you: general AI, narrow AI, machine learning, and deep learning. So it's a combination of all these principles that we are using in all these areas. Okay, now we are coming to a place that what is the difference between AI and ML, or what is the difference between artificial intelligence and machine learning. So the best example that I can give you is, I think most of you have watched these movies. The example for artificial intelligence is the Terminator, because Terminator is a machine and it can think and it can decide on own things, and it can act according to his decisions. But if you take this Iron Man suit cannot take his own decision. A human needs to go inside into it and operate it. So that is an example for machine learning, and this Terminator is an example for artificial intelligence. So this is some simple terms that I can come up with to give you the difference. Okay, so what you want to learn to become a data science, a perfect data scientist, the innermost part in this Venn diagram. So what we have to learn? So this diagram introduced by a scientist called Stephen Kosala, right? So this is his depiction of what you about what you need to learn in data science, or to become a perfect data science. So you have to learn communications. I think communication is common. It doesn't matter that what you are learning, communication skills should be improved or should be there. And statistics, I would say this is statistics and mathematics and programming and business knowledge as well, because in order to become a perfect data scientist, according to his definition, you have to have all these things together. You have to learn all these things. So this is the thing, right? I mean, this one is not that easy. Like becoming. If I ask you, or if somebody asks me a question saying that what is the easier path, to become a general software engineer or a data scientist? Actually, become a data scientist is a bit hard. So you have to do a lot of your homework, or I would say, like having said that, you have to do a lot of your work by your own. You cannot depend only on your institute or university or something like that. Of course, they will give you a great guidance and all. But to become, a very good person in data science or a very good data scientist, you have to do a lot of things by your own. Okay, so where are we using this data science? As I told you earlier, everywhere that they are using data science, traffic prediction, speech recognition, medical diagnosis, stock market, self-driving cars, everywhere, right? If I take an example, this Facebook is entirely data-driven company. There's no such company called Facebook cannot exist without any principles of data science, because they are giving you the service free, but it is not free actually. They are acquiring your data and doing various business using this data. Google is another example, from like Google Maps to YouTube, Google search, everywhere they are using this data science and machine learning. Another one is Netflix. Netflix is also using this data science and machine learning in depth. So there are some other significant breakthroughs as well. Tesla is one thing. I think I have explained to you earlier. Alphago Zero, so you can note down these things and study what are the breakthroughs that these things being made. Because Alphago Go is a game that been considered cannot be beaten by a machine, right? But it's been proved wrong back in 2016, because it's managed to beat back then. Actually, this AI system is built by Google. It's called Google DeepMind. That has been managed to beat back then Grandmaster in Go game. And these images are generated. These are not actual images. These images are generated using artificial intelligence machines. And then again, I think if there are like kids around 20s and all, Dota is a very famous game. So Dota is also the all 5 times Dota champion been managed to beaten by a machine, or the system called OpenAI. This one is Elon Musk's company, OpenAI. So there are a lot of things like that. So these are some variants in machine learning. I'm not going to deep into that. So with that, I like to conclude my presentation. So if you have any questions, we can ask later on. Saminder, take on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sampath, over to you. So you can start the moderation part, I think.
Right. Hi, everyone. Good evening, and that was a great intro, Priyal. Glad to connect with you. We've been connecting quite often now, and also Shaminder. Right. I'm glad that everyone is very much interested about this subject. I think I first heard about this probably about 6-7 years back when I joined. Actually, it's about 6 years back when I joined Virtusa, where myself and Priyal, we both worked together at that time. But Priyal is now, providing while we are together. He's actually, moved out to a much larger role, even not only the AI, but also certain areas on blockchain and other things and all those stuff, right? And I'm glad that the NSBM is sponsoring this and trying to popularize this novel or buzz subject, which is currently, highly trending out there. So I would like to actually dip into Priyal's presentation, and from there to start, right? So there's a big hype, Priyal and Shaminder, about this subject, right? Everyone wants to start doing something related to data science. Some wanted to follow a degree, some wanted to do a specialization, some wanted to kind of, follow these MOOCs like Udemy's and Coursera's and various other platforms in order to get themselves up to speed. So now, in this context, I would like to ask particularly, because most of our students probably, some might look for like, external opportunities, on-site opportunities like that. In the Sri Lankan landscape, I would probably ask from Priyal, in your understanding, how many or what type of opportunities currently available, right? There is a hype, seems to be a lot of supply very soon coming in, but how is the demand side of it in your view?
Well, demand side is also there, Sam. Actually, in the industry, there's a high demand for data scientists, especially, the people or the practitioners that who are good in machine learning and all. The demand is always there. Unfortunately, it's only, supply is the problem right now. So being in the industry, I know that even in my company, we have struggled to, like find very good machine learning engineers from Sri Lanka, unfortunately, right? So then we had to go to, other places like, in our main office in USA and all. But, the demand is there, of course, to answer your question.
Right. So that gives us a clear question for Chaminda, who represent the supply side of this whole equation. So Chaminda, just wanted to ask you, like, we are just generally talking about the public sector, private sector. I know you are attached to a private sector, university, but I want in general, how would you think the supply side of this skill within universities, has it been now, has it been mainstream? Has it been included into the general curriculums, or is it just still goes as a specialization as such, Chaminda? If you can just educate the audience, that would be great.
Well, Sampath, that's a good question, really, at the very beginning, because you know that there's a huge demand, not only in Sri Lanka, as Priya said, that there's a huge demand and it's a hype for data science. And this emerged a few years ago, actually. So about a decade ago, we didn't have such demand. But nowadays, there's a huge demand, and the trend is more towards the data science discipline because of its artificial intelligence and machine learning trends. And penetration to every industry, I think. So even the agriculture, transportations, all these industries, data science is heavily used. And therefore, the industries are facing huge difficulties of finding people. So, and therefore, with that particular understanding, we have decided to start this data science degree discipline to cater to the Sri Lankan market and also to the other countries, because that also will generate some money, dollars to Sri Lanka. And therefore, a few years ago, we started this journey, but we want to do the best, because at that time, even now, I think data science is a very new discipline in all universities. And industries has to depend on the other streams like mathematics and physical sciences streams graduates and computer sciences stream graduates, and they are going to train on machine learning and all these stuffs and occupy in these different positions. And so the need has arisen, and therefore we started this degree program, as I mentioned a few years ago, under the tailored in this part. And it took some time because we wanted to give the best. So when we give the best, we have to go through, fine-tune every aspect of the degree program. Curriculum development is a huge process because we have to address the real market, and we have to give the right demand with this graduate, because if the graduate is having the title data science, but he doesn't have any skills required by the industry, so that will be a huge problem. And therefore, catering, understand the requirements in the industry and understanding the trends in future. So with catering all these stuff, so we have prepared this degree programs data science, which covers almost every aspect in data science bachelor's degree. Because there was an involvement from the government universities as well in the panel. So they gave us good comments on developing this curriculum, and thanks for them as well to come up with one of the best degree program in Sri Lanka. So we hope to deliver the required requirements within the near future. That is, in 4 years' time, we will be able to start catering to the industry with data science graduates.
Excellent. So as Priyal also mentioned, we are so glad. I'm also representing the industry from Batusa's perspective also. We know the amount of trouble that we go through to find the right resources, particularly from the campus level itself. So we are so glad that NSBM is in the forefront, and also the various other institutes, and as well as the state sector pitching in into these, right? So I just wanted to take the conversation into slightly in depth into some data science related for insights. Now, Priyal, when we talk about, when I was doing my MSc in data science or analytics, something that I've realized is that there are two sides to it, right? One is you have the mathematical aspects of it, where I get to hear all these, Bayes' theorem to what you call, decision trees and regression. And then, of course, in neural networks, they speak about sigmoid, functions and, all those things. Which was like, I didn't do science or A levels for my, maths for my A levels. I did actually science. It was a little overwhelming. But then the other side is something that I really liked, where the implementation side is where already the libraries and, already those things are available, like TensorFlows to Pandas to Pythons to, all those stuff, right? Now, for the viewers, can you explain, if you wanted to, have a career in data science, do you need to have both of these things, knowing in depth, or is there a particular area that you get biased, in this subject, Priya?
Yeah, that is a good question, Sam. Actually, I think I have, addressed that thing in my slide deck as well. But, to become a perfect data scientist, right, you have to have all the disciplines, like, as I told you, especially mathematics, statistics, programming knowledge, and in the business knowledge, because, you should be very clear that what is the kind of problem that you are going to solve, right? So the things are there. So the thing is, like, having said that, that is to become perfect data scientist. So, I mean, let's have an example that there's, brand new problem arises, in your industry or in your work. Yes, right. There's a brand new, problem. So you need to, build a, there was no like any previously defined machine learning model, data science model being, developed for that, to solve that particular problem. So then, you have to come up with your own model. So then only that you would be requiring that kind of an in-depth knowledge of all these practices, in maths, statistics, and all that, right? So being a, data scientist or a data engineer, you wouldn't get like, these kind of problems every day, I would say, because, in the industry experience, I would say, like, 60 to 70% of the problems that we are getting or we need to solve in the industry can be solved using existing models. So data might be different. I mean, you need to tweak the model and all that is there. But, to do that kind of a work, you do not have to have an in-depth knowledge of what you are talking about, Sampath, right? So, so that means that, of course, to become a perfect guy, you have to have all the disciplines. But having said that, it doesn't stop you to become a data scientist or a data engineer or a machine learning engineer.
Okay, so the answer is you can enter into this without being a mathematician.
Yes,
right. And along the way, you would be learning, and you should be able to kind of get yourself up to speed. Yes, of course, as Priyal mentioned, what Priyal mentioned was that knowing, understanding, one is applying the algorithm. Second is knowing what's the algorithm and how it can be used to a problem. Is, so of course, if you know those things, then of course you become a better data scientist. But you do not really need high level of mathematics knowledge, or you don't have to be a mathematician in order to get into this field. So that was the final conclusion, right? Chaminda, I want to come to you now. We talk about, since you spoke about your curriculum and spoke about what this, what you're trying to do, even as a degree. Now we speak about various different technology stacks, Chaminda. Now I can remember, if I recall, you have all these Python related libraries like Pandas or scikit-learn or NumPy and all those stuff, right? And then also you have the Google, the stack I have heard of, like the TensorFlow kind of thing. So if someone is going to enter into your degree, is there a particular stack that you are going to focus, or are you going to go on the general path, and then you get the kind of the basics covered, where anyone would be able to dip into any stack. What's your take on this, Chaminda?
And that's again a great and interesting question, really, because here we are producing a bachelor, right? Bachelor in data science. So he may be having different intentions, like when he is learning in central, I mean that the holistically, he may be able to excel in his own interest. For example, a person who learns Python. So he may be not interested in sometimes not interesting on Python, but he may be having a desire on learning some other stuffs. So he can get through from that Python modules, but he may be desire on different other things like big data analytics, Hadoop, Sparks, and things like that. So in that context, if you are learning or teaching only the Python and that particular context of stuffs, that is not suiting. And therefore, we have to cater to all students' intentions. That means desires. And also, we have to produce people to understand all these stacks actually. So, and therefore, we have developed a curriculum catering all these disciplines actually. It's not only one particular thing. So it contains many things. As you mentioned, that Python is there, and inside Python we may be using almost all libraries there, like natural language toolkit has to be used, and all the other things like that should be used inside Python. And when it comes to again big data analytics, it has to use the Sparks, and he has to use the required tools there, and TensorFlow and BI tools even, because business analytics is coming there, and therefore BI tools has to be there. And we are in general teaching all these aspects, not specifying into a particular field. So that is best, I think, because then later on he can decide his path, whether I'm going to say, for example, sometimes the person may be very interesting on learning GIS stuffs. So geoinformation system, so spatial data. So he may be having a different interest, but we have to teach all these aspects. Then we have to expose them into different other disciplines. Then only he will become right bachelor, I think.
Right. Okay. So we also can see some questions coming also. So I would like to, I mean, some of those questions are anyway related to what we have been already discussing about, some are asking about Keras tools. Of course, Keras is, I suppose, it's a right, Priyal, it's a part of the TensorFlow. It's an API of TensorFlow. So you're again talking about a library or a tool, right? And also they've been asking about whether there is a connection between data science and networking as well. But I think that's a pretty interesting question, even though it's not the exact question I want to ask Priyal. But I know you are involved in this blockchain related, right, industry, and you are an expert yourself in cybersecurity and networking side. Can you just explain now? One is being a data scientist, right? Data scientist, as you said, is if my understanding is right, you are a person who will be building a model, and you will be somebody who will be trying to solve a problem and coming up with a model and an approach where you will then later on give it to a software engineer or someone to implement it in some sort of a solution, right? So the data scientist boundary would be that initially. But how does that diffuse to the rest of the other areas like cybersecurity and maybe cloud, DevOps? You have so many other, the platforms, right? How does that relate to Priyal, in your view?
Well, Sampath, as I depicted in my slides as well, the Andrew NG, who was kind of like my mentor as well when it comes to data science, where from him that I also learned. He says that the machine learning, data science, and these concepts would applicable for anything, right? So if you take cybersecurity, that you have asked about cybersecurity specifically, if you are talking about perimeter level security these days, you cannot think about perimeter level security without machine learning. Because the attackers are getting advanced, the hackers are getting advanced. So you cannot go ahead with rule-based systems anymore, right? So whatever the security, the defense system that you are having needs to get adapted into new kind of attacks. So these attacks never been recorded before. So then by using the machine learning methods, by only using machine learning methods, that it can identify, okay, this one is an attack, so I should do, whatever the preventive mechanism that I should go ahead and do it. Right, everywhere.
Just like that basic, just like that basic, what you call the spam mailing, use case that we were learning at a basic level, right?
Those are like basics, Sambat. Like, I mean, by the things has, like evolved heavily, especially like if you take a firewall these days, almost all the firewalls now in the market powered by machine learning. I mean, you cannot do your firewall business without implementing machine learning into it these days, right? And CMs and like whatnot, everything, WAPs, everything is being powered by machine learning these days. It is just an example.
All right. Okay. So I have another question on the same side. Then we can actually move into the the demand side of it after this question. So my question for Chaminda is that now if the students, when you say that you are going to do this data science degree, there are foundational concepts, right? So how important is the foundational skills? Somebody who's come, because it's a bachelor's degree, as you very rightly pointed out. Maybe something like, I'm just, if I recall, like something like the data structures, right? The fundamental data structures. So these type of fundamentals, how would you see that it differs from a normal general IT to a computer science degree and a data science specific degree that you just now spoke about?
Yeah, so that's okay. When it comes to the data structures, that so algorithms are developed in different disciplines, like different purposes. So, and computer science students will learn data structures in one discipline, but generally it is the same actually, but it is an extension when it comes to data science. You may be learning some different algorithms which are covering with artificial intelligence and that type of context, because when it comes to say, for example, Google algorithms, so search engines and things like that. So the algorithms used by them, and again, when it comes to large data sets, so the algorithms to fine tune these data, that may be quite different. And therefore, the data structures and algorithms will be learned in common. But when it comes to the data science graduate, he will be learning other aspects required for that particular decision making within the data science context. And the other foundational things, of course, actually, when at the entry level, we are not expecting anything, Sam, because when they come to NSBM, that they will be having some general understanding about, sometimes they don't have any knowledge about data science, but it is our responsibility. If it is our responsibility to cater them in the right way. So if they cannot understand something, we believe that it is our fault because we have not addressed them in the right way. So, and therefore, at the very beginning, we are not expecting any foundation knowledge, but at the very beginning, we are giving it.
Okay. Now, so also I want to add at the same time, Chaminda, now I think Python and data science is going hand in hand, right? Whereas most of the other degrees, if you look at an object-oriented language, they mostly talk about Java or C#, something like that. So, so are you going to focus more on the Python here from the, or you're going with, I mean, it is language agnostic?
During the first year, Sam, they will be learning C programming even, right? C programming. So they start programming from C. And then in second semester, they will be learning Java programming also, right? Java programming. And in the second year onwards, they will be learning Python programming and R programming, again, Java. Even Java enterprise applications are taught because sometimes the student may be going into some general software engineering disciplines as well. And therefore, focus on that particular aspect, we are even teaching enterprise how to develop enterprise applications also within this data science curriculum. And also he will be learning Python, advanced Python programming and all these things. So, and when it comes to your application again, so the programming concepts, they will be learning C programming, Java programming, Python, R. So all these required programming concepts actually.
Okay, that's a great thing. So the takeaway is that, so even if you do this data science degree, you may be passing out like that. yet you should still be able to follow any other paths as well. I mean, you can take up a normal general software engineering kind of a role as well, or automation engineer kind of a role, or a data engineer these days a role very easily. It doesn't mean that it only being, you know, extremely specialized into a very smaller kind of, you know, niche skills or niche technologies. With the interest of time, I want to move on, and also I would like to take a couple of questions in the sense which is on the chat, and some are asking about. It seems that the audience is also, you know, quite interested about this. So they're asking about Google Colab. They're asking about Kaggle. You know, some of these platforms. So that actually brings another interesting question, Priyal. I'll ask this first from Priyal, because you are from the industry. Since I'm the moderator, I'll keep the, you know, adding in my insights, which I see from what's coming for the employment aspect of it. One is that now when we are interviewing someone for a data science position, you know, for a software engineer position, the way that you interview could be slightly different from the way that you interview for a software, sort of data scientist position, right? So what type of questions and what type of skills, and how do you gauge the person is like a, you know, who stand out from the pack? What's that process? What are you looking at the interviewing space? Just imagine after the degree.
Yes, but I think, you know, the first thing that, you know, I think, you know, like in our company, like if you take an example, as in our company, what we are looking at is it's about the passion, right? Because in order to become a data scientist, you know, this one is not applicable for only for data scientists, for everyone, like for general software engineers, everyone. You should have to have a passion towards this subject, right? I mean, like if you are thinking that, okay, you have, I know that, you know, Tamil, they have come up with very great, you know, syllabus and, you know, covering everything and, you know, try to output the best. Of course, right? We can do, but the thing is that you have to practice most by your own, right? So that, I mean, where you can practice, there are a lot of, like, you know, places like Kaggle and everything. If you want, I can share you the screen and, you know, show you them, right? So, like, you know, you have to have that practice. So then only that you will learn the, you know, the depths of this data science, right? I mean, if you go ahead with the, you know, like university project, assignment and all, you know, there's always limit for that. You know, there's a, you know, time limitation as well. So the best way that I can instruct our guys is that, you know, you can learn the principles from, you know, from your university or, you know, from institute or, you know, from anywhere else, and then go ahead and do the practice. You know, the one question that we used to ask from data science, how many, you know, projects that you have conducted by your own, right? It might be failing, that's fine. I mean, the model that you are trying to work on might get failed, or the data might be not efficient, right? But, you know, you have to try it and see, then only that you will get the, you know, the real depth in this thing. No, actually, this one is applicable more into the machine learning engineers or data scientists rather than, you know, other general software engineers, because, you know, that if you take software engineer, you know, it was like, you know, like, you know, I would say more structured practice. Practice, like, you know, it was there for like, you know, 20 to 30 years. But, you know, this data science is fairly new, right? So there's no, like, you know, like formal, you know, practice tact in there. Because like only 7-8 years ago, I mean, it was there before, but, you know, it came into the industry 7-8 years ago. So you have to do a lot of things by your own. And having said that, shall I share my screen? See that you asked that question. I think I have, you know, like chatting with you, I loaded a few things. You know, this is one place, like, you know, Kaggle, right? So there are a lot of like data science challenges in here. And then again, guys, you know, this one is not for free. I mean, you can take up one of these. I mean, you can, there are like, you know, individual challenges, team challenges and all. You can take even, you know, most of the time the data set is also being provided by them. So you can take these challenges as a team or as an individual, and, you know, there are a lot of rewards in there. It's not for free. Like, you know, I mean, like if it is a great challenge, they are offering something like, you know, 50,000, $100,000 US if you solve it properly. And there's another place. This one is Chinese-based one. And again, same as Kaggle, Grand Challenge. So this one is another place, right? This one is another place, like driven data. So all these, there are a lot of like I mean, you can go with learning mode as well, because there's built-in, pre-built model. So you can come, build your model and compare and contrast how well that your model perform. And there are some financially aid challenges as well that where you can take on. Coda Lab is also another good place. So what I would encourage is students, if you learn the basics first, right? And then go ahead and maybe try to earn something. That is good for yourself and good for the country as well in this situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, I think I wanted to add something. This is relevant to. I'll come into that. There were some Virtusa specific questions also being asked by the participants. I'll talk in a while. But as Priyal very lightly pointed out, see, when you are doing interviews, you have to always take a portfolio. You have to go and show them evidence that you have done it. What we have seen in our interviews also, they come and say, hey, I have done Python, I know pandas, I know this. Then either you need to ask them some syntax, or you have to ask them to show something that you have done. But most of the students do not have a what we call a portfolio of what you have done. So what Priyal just showed was actually online you can build your portfolio, right? These Jupyter notebooks that you work on, Kaggle, can be a great examples of what you have done and the competitions you have taken, where you stand in that leaderboard, right? It's okay. Maybe regionally you might be the 1677th place, but still, globally you are in a particular place and you are competing with them. So you can always share your screen and say, hey, interviewer, look at me. This is what I have been doing. These are the codings that I have been doing. This is where I stand. Like that, you can always showcase your thing, just like your GitHub, that whatever the codings you do, you basically push it to your GitHub. You can have these type of things available. So there is one question coming from, actually there are about 5 questions asking about whether Virtusa has some internships and opportunities for data scientists. Yes, we do. Actually, recently we recruited 20 interns for data science, specifically for our internal group, application group, because they are the ones who dip into multiple different databases and try to make sense out of it, right? For an example, that includes a little bit of data science plus includes analytics as well, because it is not probably data science is a little extreme aspect, not extreme, like in-depth aspect of it, where the mathematics, the algorithms and those things getting involved. But a data analytics is one step probably forward, where you have to work with the databases, then kind of collating these databases, cleansing these databases, then probably maybe visualizing this data and making sense out of it. So there are many opportunities available out there. And if you are studying for NSBM, of course, we also have a very strong partnership with NSBM. We actually offer internships to NSBM, not only NSBM, but rest of the other universities also, main public and private universities operating. However, still the software engineering is where we have the highest number of opportunities, like 400 to 500 opportunities for fresh graduates. Yet there are some data science specific opportunities coming in as well. I think this is a very good a place for us to again move into Chaminda for last few questions. Chaminda, now they are asking about internships. So what are your plans in your degree, to give these students, what type of, rather than just being in the academia, that they are very much job ready and attuned to the industry, rather than they are being more academic and you're trying to do like this hello world type of problems at the campus level. How are you going to bridge that industry academia gap? What are your plans on that?
Yeah, that's a great thing, Sam, again, because NSBM has like industry placement in the 3rd year. So every student in data science degree program has to complete a industry placement, that is an internship. which covers minimum of 84 working days. So that is the requirement. So we are placing them in the industry. So if the student has the freedom to select the industry, whatever he like, he can, if he has a particular place to work, he can work there. But we will be monitoring what he is doing. And we have a daily diary to fill. And we have a career guidance unit. So the career guidance unit is closely monitoring this student's progress in the industry. Because within these 84 days, the industry mentor has to write about his progress. So there are some places that they have to write and criticize about the work. And the academic person also monitoring the student's progress. So that is a part of this module called internship, which has a higher number of credits. And therefore, students is blended from both ends. That is the academic side. We are tuning up his talents and skills required to the industry. And the industry also provide individual feedback to the student.
Right.
So from that end, industry see what type of things lacking with this student and what type of things should be developed from the students. So with that blended development, student will be coming out as an industry-ready graduate at the end of the degree program.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, that's good news for us, isn't it, Priya? Right? That they are, we have a ready supply of great talent being coming out from the university system. So in the interest of time, I'm going to take two important questions. One is that I think both probably, Priyal, you could be able to pitch in because it's related to the industry. So people are very much interested about what would be like a starting salary, or what's the compensation potential of a data science field. Maybe you don't have to give a exact number as such, but is there a range or something that you can say about the remuneration aspect?
Well, to answer that question, Sampath, the thing is that since the demand is very high, if you are very good in machine learning, data science and all, this particular segment is in the higher stack now, right? I mean, if you're comparing, the general software engineering and all that, data science or machine learning engineers have the highest demand. So you can go to the top-notch salary scale.
Right.
Do you want me to give some kind of range?
Adding to that, I saw in the Forbes is a
sure. Please jump in there. Yeah, please.
Forbes is a good magazine to predict all these salaries and all these stuff. Today I read one article in Forbes. So they are highly, the trend is towards data science because they have to increase salaries in high scales. The reason is it is very difficult to retain employees in data science within their companies because they are moving, and therefore employee retention is very low. And therefore, in order to retain these employees in the organization, because after giving them lots of trainings and development and all these things, if the employees leaving the companies, that's a huge damage.
Absolutely.
There's a huge salary increase in the world. I read that article in Forbes magazine today. That's a good news.
Absolutely. I also want to add there. Now, see, I can always vouch for this because we are also a global company. You know that Virtusa is about 30,000 big now, close to 30,000 employees. We are a mid-sized company globally speaking. Now, if you look at Sri Lanka, we have only 3,000, right? Roughly about 3,000 employees, whereas 27,000 stays out of the country. So salary scales are also dependent on your country. So, multinationals, when they work, what you get paid in UK or US is not what is getting paid in India, is not what you're getting paid in Sri Lanka or what you're getting paid in Singapore. Always the salary scales are getting adjusted to, what is out there in your country rates, right? So in this case, your first opportunities that you get would be from Sri Lanka, our own companies, the companies operating in Sri Lanka. I agree that, no worries. But you have, I think, as the young graduates, correct me if I'm wrong, Priyal and Chamin. Now, Priyal is working for Silicon Valley company from Sri Lanka, right? And similarly, you can be here working for a foreign, company, or you can also, migrate. and you can start providing services there for these large big companies. Yeah, every company is going to be a data company in the future, right? Any bank, any insurance company, anything. Some people only knows about this Tesla and Apple and few Google and few companies. But if you really look at it, almost every bank in the world is going to be a data company, and it is right now also, right? All the stock exchanges, insurance companies, manufacturing, automation, anything you may, biotechnology, with this pandemic coming in, cracking the genome code, right, Priyal? All these are all data science related. Clustering, you will hear clustering, where Pokura all these days, right? Pokura is coming from the data science, right? Clustering is an algorithm. There are multiple clustering algorithms, right? So as you very so my request for you is, take examples like even India, right? So most of their employees are all over the world, dispersed, working in US companies, in Europe, in China, in Middle East, various places. I think that's where we have to be. The student body has to be. So don't always think about an opportunity in your own area, but you can think about the whole world. How am I going to be providing services for them? So that is good for the country as for you as well, right? Especially as a situation where we are trying to bring in more dollars and all. So as Chaminda mentioned, maybe this highest paid jobs out of Sri Lanka would be a great, an option. Right. So let me check finally the chat to see whether there is any interesting questions coming up, and then if not, we can make it a session, because we have allocated only 1 hour and we are already over budget. I think job opportunities in Sri Lanka, we have mentioned that almost all the companies have opportunities coming in. So that's one question. Okay, one last question to Priyal and Chaminda. Somebody's asking how important the business domain knowledge, how well that you need to know a business, when you are a data scientist. I think that's a good question too, because the problems are coming from business domains. Priyal, you want to go ahead first?
That is a good question, actually. Right? It's like this. No. Okay, if you take a software engineer, right? That normally software engineers tend to, they are there to build software, right? But if you take a data scientist, your knowledge can be applicable to anywhere. You don't have to be in a software company. You can be in insurance, you can be in agriculture, right? You can be in civil engineering. Everywhere, there are problems that needs to be solved using machine learning, right? So it's a matter of applying your knowledge in there. So having said that, you should know what is the problem that you are trying to solve, right? If you take an example, if you are trying to solve an agriculture problem, you should know that, agriculture problem using AI and ML, you should know, how to tackle this problem. I'll give you a very simple example, because, I got involved a lot of agricultural problem, agriculture solutions that we were given to Sri Lankan context, especially, with my students and all. So one problem was that, identifying whether, any particular, certain plants, whether it's been, whether they need to be pesticide, whether there any disease been get involved with this. So, as computer guys, we do not know about that knowledge, right? Right. So you have to consult someone who is good in agriculture and get that knowledge. Okay, when you get a plant, okay, the plant has some, certain kind of, some, I would say some kind of, infectious leaves or some kind of signs that it is giving out, whether it's been infected or not. So certain infect needs to have, needs to get treated with certain pesticides, right? So those knowledge you have to have. So if you are trying to solve that kind of a problem, that is essential to get that business knowledge, right? Other than that, you do not know what you are trying to solve. So that is why the business knowledge is very important when you are trying to solve AI and ML problems.
Great. So
Actually,
the
that
answer
is-
again, if I summarize, yeah, Chaminder.
So that is
Sorry.
quite actually paradoxical, because business knowledge, of course, it is one domain actually, because if you consider about the uh, Google Maps, so what is the business there? So it is a business actually, it is a business. And therefore, I think having a knowledge on social aspects will be much more better than having sometimes the business knowledge, because business knowledge, anyway, they will be learning some theoretical aspects during A-levels.
Right.
So the mathematics students, again, they are not learning it. And therefore, it is
And
just
also, I think, Chaminder, also the businesses anyway solve social problems, right?
that's the thing. Yeah, that's the
Businesses
thing.
are there to solve,
Yeah.
social problems. So obviously, if you look at the social problems, you will see businesses are also trying to solve the similar type of problems, right? One last thing I want to ask from Chaminder, that's the last question we can take depending on the time that we have been given. People have some confusion about data science and analytics. Where do you draw the line? Where does the analytics end, and how does analytics differ from data science?
That
How do you
is
take that?
actually, there was a distinct difference between business analytics and data science. But now this line, of course, it is blurring, because everywhere there is an analytics part. So if you consider about Yahoo Finance and all these things, sometimes you will think that it is business analytics. So
Right.
I think I would like to use the data analytics rather than using business analytics. So it is true that they will be analyzing data relating to that particular business, but it is data. What you are basically analyzing is data. Sometimes it may be data within some geoinformation systems. What we are doing is we are analyzing data, and therefore with that particular trend, this line is blurring, and therefore
Right.
there is no huge demarcation between these two. But so people consider that business analytics is a lighter version of data science. It is a lighter version, because data science is much more than business analytics, definitely. But there is a trend, there is an application in business analytics as well.
Okay. Sorry, I want to ask you both a question. This is something that suddenly popped up in my mind. This is not from the audience. This is a question that I have. Now, maybe it's all about predictions, right? You do predictions and things like that. But there is always a discussion going on that maybe your past data may give you patterns, but those patterns may not, repeat in the future. So whole this modeling business would eventually become, will that be something in the past, right? What's your take on that? With all these pandemics coming and all the, probably, the prediction becoming increasingly difficult because of the VUCA, environment. How do you think that?
Well, okay, let me put it in this way, right? I mean, like if you go to traditional or classical machine learning models and all data, I mean, we need like data, lots of them. Like, I mean, in earlier days, like if you're talking about training your model with 500 to 1,000, 2,000 number of records, like it's like talking rubbish. Like you have to have at least like 1 million set of records and all that. But if you are following the Andrew NG, right, who was my guru as well, like so then now around like 1 year ago that he started to talk about ML models with less data. So that is the newest trend.
Right.
Especially
okay.
I mean, if you take an example, if you try to analyze anything models with coronavirus, it was not there. Like, I mean, you don't have like millions of billions of infected guys and all that to analyze that data. So you have to deal with something. So there are new models and new theories coming up to the market in the concept of like machine learning with less data.
I think that,
okay. Also will be near maybe models from the near real data, like what we learn in this mathematics, the instantaneous speed when we do the calculus, in that the graph, where you should be able to look at the just before the data and would be predicting the next what's going to happen kind of thing, right? Near real time kind of modeling is going to take place. Good. I think we had a very, very fantastic, thought provoking conversation, starting from very basics, anyone who didn't know about data science, to some little advanced topics to give you a glimpse of what's out there. Probably don't think that you learned everything about data science within this 1 hour. It's an ocean. I always used to say it's about statistics, it's about mathematics, it's about information technology, it's about business domains. So, so it's a kind of a cross-disciplinary, approach, rather than like only one discipline that you learn. So it's very interesting, and there are so much of opportunities that is waiting to come, locally as well as internationally. So I would like to thank today the panel, Priyal from Zorozyme, who joined as a very senior architect and a thought leader in data science and analytics. So of course, both of us runs a YouTube channel also. You can probably go and check these two channels, where I probably go mostly on the analytics side, where Priyal mostly go on the machine learning side of it. And I request you to kind of search and then learn some of these things, because he has some wonderful tutorials been posted. So maybe a good idea for you to dip into some of those kind of content. And also we would like to thank Chaminda Vijay Singh, who is basically spearheading and this subject and trying to fill this gap in the market, to bridge the gap. And I wish you all the best, Chaminda, for your great initiatives, and we are looking forward as an industry for you to bridge that gap, and we are looking forward to engage with you in the future as well, to educate the whole country, and also to uplift our industry as well, as one of the the leading nations who's driving this knowledge based exports. And then again, a great thank goes to Pavitra and the NSBM team who has organized this. Last week we had a data engineering session that we conducted. We had nearly 1,000 registrations for that. So we are doing this session today, and also please look forward for this Friday. You're going to learn something again on AI on DevOps, and also in cloud and various other various other spaces that's been organized for this Friday. So please look for your invites, and please join that as well. We are bringing in another very senior architect to speak about these subjects. So our objective is to educate you as much as possible, so you get an opportunity to learn more and get yourself knowledgeable in these areas. Right. Thank you very much, and all the best, and have a great evening. And we will share with you the recorded link, and anyone who wants to kind of go back and learn or dip in or share with anyone, please be comfortable to do so. Right. Look for this space for more and more sessions, and great stuff, and have a great evening. Take care of yourself and be safe. All the best. Goodbye from us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sampath and Priyal and the Virtusa team on behalf of NSBM. Thank you very much for your great contribution.
Yeah, thank you.
Always appreciate. Thanks a lot. Thank you.